In every forest, in every ocean, a voice is calling. This is Voices for the Wild. Every creature has a voice.
In a forest of grass under the sea, a tiny horse hangs by its tail. This is the seahorse, armored, delicate, and unlike any fish you know. Today we step inside its life, how it disappears without moving, how it hunts by vacuum, and why in this family the father is the one who becomes pregnant. Seahorses live where the coast breathes, among seagrass meadows, mangrove roots, and the broken edges of coral reefs. From the Mediterranean to Indonesia, from West Africa to the Americas, different species share the same rule. Hold on tight. Currents move, storms rearrange the neighborhood, and the safest place is whatever your tail can grip. So the seahorse anchors while the world flows past. A seahorse is a puzzle of plates, bony armor instead of scales. Its head bends at a right angle to the body, a horse's profile set on a fish's frame. It doesn't swim well in any ordinary sense. The dorsal fin hums like a tiny propeller, while the pectoral fins flick to steer. But speed is not the plan. The eyes swivel independently, watching two stories at once. The skin can shift shade and pattern to borrow the colors of the moment. And the tail is a hand. It curls around grass, coral twigs, and mangrove roots with a grip strong enough to outlast the gusts. For a predator that barely moves, hunting is about patience and physics. The seahorse waits, twitches forward by millimeters, and then snaps a vacuum through its tubular snout. In an instant, pressure drops, and the prey vanishes with a soft, wet pop. Copepods, tiny shrimp, larval fish. If it is small enough to fit, it is small enough to disappear. 1,000 quiet strikes can fill a day. No chase, no struggle, just timing, angle, and the invisible pull of suction. Camouflage is the other half of survival. Some species wear spikes and frills like drifting weeds. Others carry smooth armor that mimics polished stems. Pigments ripple in the skin, turning the body into background. Even the way a seahorse sways is a disguise. It doesn't fight the current, it leans with it, rocking in rhythm, a stem among stems. The message to predators is simple. There's nothing here to notice. Life at this scale starts with ritual. Many seahorses pair up, some for a season, some longer. Each morning before hunting begins, the partners meet for a greeting dance. Colors brighten, tails twine for a moment, bodies align, and they rise and fall in sync. It is a daily check-in that maintains the bond and synchronizes the clocks of reproduction. When the timing is right, courtship becomes choreography, and the strangest chapter in vertebrate biology begins. In seahorses, the roles invert. The male becomes pregnant. The female pushes her eggs into a specialized brood pouch on his belly. There, he fertilizes them and then nurtures them as they develop. The pouch is more than a pocket. It regulates salt, manages oxygen, and supplies nutrients like a living incubator. Inside, embryos fold themselves into perfect miniatures, armored and ready. Depending on the species, the clutch may be a few dozen, a few hundred, or in larger seahorses, even more. Gestation can last weeks. During that time, the pair may continue their daily greetings, reinforcing the bond while the brood grows. The pregnant male still hunts, still anchors, still disappears in plain sight. He simply carries a future under his skin. When the moment arrives, birth comes in bursts. The father strains, and a storm of tiny horses shoots into the water. Each one is a fully formed seahorse with a prehensile tail and a working snout. There is no parental feeding, no nursery pen, and no safe harbor guaranteed. The young are alone from the first breath. For the fry, survival is a math problem with narrow margins. They rise and fall with plankton, hitch rides on drifting threads of algae, and learn the art of gripping and vanishing. Predators are everywhere: crabs, small fish, even larger seahorses. Most become meals. A few become seahorses. The path to adulthood is short in distance and long in risk, measured in the number of times a tail finds purchase and a body goes unnoticed. Growing up, small demands compromises. The skeleton remains external plates, light but tough. Muscles are built for posture more than sprinting. Energy goes to feeding often rather than moving far. The reward for that design is specialization. In the places where currents carry food like conveyor belts through dense grass, a patient predator with a vacuum snout can make a decent living without leaving home. The seahorse's world, however, is shrinking. Seagrass beds scar under boat propellers and anchors. Coastal development clouds the water and buries habitat in sediment. Trawl nets scrape the bottom, catching what they seek and what they don't. Bycatch hauls up animals that never saw the danger coming. And on docks and market stalls, dried seahorses appear as souvenirs and ingredients, tokens pulled from living places and sold as stories. Protection exists on paper in many regions. Permits, trade limits, and listings that recognize vulnerability. But protection only works with place. Save the grass, and you save the horse. Seagrass restoration stitches green back into blue. Anchoring rules and prop-free zones keep meadows from being shredded. Fishermen equipped with bycatch-reducing gear let the small survivors slip away. Community education shifts curiosity from collect it to leave it be. When the meadow returns, the twigs and stems return, and with them the creatures that learn to be twigs and stems. Why do we care about something so small? Because the meadow is a machine, and the seahorse is one of its gears. Seagrass meadows store carbon, shelter juvenile fish, stabilize sand, and feed entire food webs. Remove the grass and the edges of coasts unravel. Keep the grass and the coast breathes. In that breathing, the seahorse finds its role, a precise solution to a local problem. How to eat without being seen, and how to raise a brood without laying a nest. In its strange way, the seahorse is proof that evolution rewards elegance as much as power. Look closer at the details that make elegance work. Independent eyes means one can scan for predators while the other tracks prey. A head set at right angles lets the snout strike forward without the whole body lunging. The vacuum snap is silent, conserving energy and avoiding attention. The tail's geometry, squared off rather than round, makes the grip secure even when crushed or twisted. A tiny feat of engineering repeated thousands of times a day. What looks delicate is actually a network of hardy little decisions stacked together. Daily life is built from small loops. Grip, watch, wait. Flutter, feed, reset. Check in with a partner. Align rhythms. Drift apart to hunt. With luck, the cycles add up to a season, and then to a clutch carried by a father, and then to a burst of siblings that scatter like sparks in the water. Most sparks fade. Some find stems and shadows. A few learn the hard lesson of stillness, to live by not drawing notice. Even among seahorses, variety is wide. Some species are the size of a thumb, others stretch the length of a hand. Pygmy seahorses vanish on sea fans, wearing the exact polka dots of the coral polyps they live among. Spiky species lean into weeds like drifting burrs. Smooth-armored species cling to reed-straight blades. Wherever you look, the theme repeats. Fit the background, don't hurry, make the most of a small lunch. People meet seahorses first with delight. The face looks back at us with a profile we recognize, and the curl of the tail feels almost human in its grasp. That charm is powerful. It can inspire care or fuel the impulse to collect. The choice matters. One animal in a jar is a story that ends. One animal in a meadow is a story that continues and multiplies. Coexistence is practical. Mark seagrass beds on local charts. Slow boats across shallow flats. Lift anchors gently in grassy areas or use mooring buoys where provided. Support fisheries that reduce bycatch and protect nursery habitats. If you dive or snorkel, take pictures and leave the animals as you found them. In places where community science programs track populations, contribute sightings. Small habits scale when many people share them. When you do see a seahorse, give the grass a second look. The animal is there because the meadow is healthy enough to hide it and feed it. The scene is quieter than a coral reef and gentler than a pelagic chase. But the stakes are the same. Eat and not be eaten. Mate and keep the cycle moving. Weather the storms without losing your grip. In a world that rewards spectacle, the seahorse survives by refusing to be spectacular. So here is the truth of the seahorse. It is not a toy, not a trinket, and not a myth. It is a precise little invention, tuned for places where the sea grows grass and the wind writes waves across the surface. Build armor from plates and trade speed for stealth. Hunt by vacuum and thrive by stillness. Dance to keep a promise, and let the Father carry the future. If this story helps you see the meadow differently, carry that with you. Protect the grass and the mangroves and the quiet, broken edges of reefs. Choose seafood from fisheries that spare the small things that make nurseries work. Support restoration where scars have turned green into bare sand. The ocean keeps its wonders when we keep their homes. In a forest of grass under the sea, a tiny horse hangs by its tail. It watches with two eyes, waits with infinite patience, and eats with a whisper. When the current leans, it leans. When danger passes, it is still there, because it was never really separate from the place it lives. Hold fast, vanish well, dance often. That is the seahorse's life, and the meadow's lesson to us all.